Welcome to the SubSummit podcast. Real conversations with the operators scaling subscription, membership, and recurring revenue in today's commerce landscape.
All right, welcome back to the podcast. Now, we know that every road in the subscription economy leads to Kansas City this May, and this podcast is your preview of what's waiting at SubSummit. Today on the SubSummit podcast, I'm joined by Phoenix Ha. Now, Phoenix, she is an e-commerce growth operator known for building high-velocity creative and performance marketing systems that drive scalable revenue. She previously co-founded and led AdBeacon, a first-party data platform built for the post-iOS 14.5 ad landscape, and later helped scale social commerce at Instant Hydration. Phoenix has played a number of roles, including model turned media buyer, I love that, SaaS founder, and scaling creative process as well. I'm excited to chat with her. Phoenix, welcome to the podcast.
Honored to be here. Great to see you, meet you, do all of it. So
I'm looking forward to seeing you in May and in Kansas City. So let's talk about the process that we go through. When you look at the next generation of subscriptions, what do you think separates the ones people keep from the ones that they might cancel first, Phoenix?
yeah, I think everything just needs to make sense. So when it comes down to creating ads and when it comes down to creating subscription flow and retention flow, we have to ask, like, would I actually buy this? And would I actually continue to subscribe from this? It's a very simple mirror to you question that we don't really do. We overthink it. So I think the ones that are able to create something that is consistently of value, you provide value to the consumer rather than the consumer just consumes. That is a big, big difference. And I think also too, like growing with the consumer and being able to give them something to be excited for and to want to tell others about. So I think people love the idea of discovery. That's why TikTok became such a huge platform is, hey, I discovered this thing. Let me tell you about it. I think it's the same thing when it comes to retention and subscription. They love it and then they want to tell other people about it and they're going to get something in return for it. So I really think the people who are doing it right and the future are those who invest in the retention and subscription, like that portion of the LTV, rather than just acquisition. As much as acquisition is important, the other side is extremely important as well.
I love that you've played such an eclectic role on both sides of the equation, not only as a buyer, but someone that's a promoter also. Can we talk a little bit about your background? Model turned media buyer, SaaS founder, and a creative, all in one. How did you find, or how did you determine what was your gift in all of those things that you have been doing in your background?
Such a funny story. I don't know. Life is crazy, and I think you get handed a certain amount of experiences, and how you handle those experiences will shape what you become. And I've been very grateful to be put in really hard corners and, forged under pressure. It's like, okay, hey, when I was at Supra Footwear, for example, we don't have a lot of budget, but we need to make a huge print on the skate world, especially during the time that skate was transitioning to bigger, larger brands like Nike, whereas before they weren't allowed to come in. And what did we do? We created experiential events and we really pushed that. I think to me, if you have executional excellence and you force yourself to be creative, really fun things will come. And I think also too, in my career personally, it came down to need and fulfilling that need. So at the time when I was a media buyer and I was scaling for multiple brands on an agency side, I realized, oh my gosh, I can't give them the numbers with a clean conscience and be like, yep, this is exactly how much money you made. When I knew that the algorithm was all over the place, I knew attribution was all over the place, nothing made sense. So I had to create a solution. Did I ever think I'd go into SaaS? No, but it worked out beautifully and I became obsessive. So I think for me, number one, being very obsessive, number two, having executional excellence, and number three, just rolling with the punches and going for it. So yeah.
Yeah, one of the things I've always tried to lead my career with is do what you love and love what you do. And it seems like that totally fits the world that you are working in right now. You're going with the flow, you're finding things that you love to do, and you're continuing to do those things.
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, let's talk a little bit more about subscriptions. Is there a behavior in social commerce that might predict subscription retention better than traditional e-commerce metrics? You've been involved with this. Tell us what you think.
Yeah, I think just community. Like, I think we underestimate the power of community. I've been talking about TikTok because I'm so fascinated by that platform. specifically. I have a lot of experience in Meta. And then also when it comes down to brand building on the experiential side and like print and then overall, I would say global marketing, I've been able to have my hands in all of those things. And the thing that we know most is the economy of frequency of being in front of your consumers' eyeballs, constantly reminding them, hey, we exist and this is why we exist. And I think that is a currency we don't really understand how that metric is a direct correlation to dollars. And before we're like, these are soft metrics. And I think I was in that camp prior. And now I'm like, no, there's a reason why when I was a sneakerhead, I would like grab a Nike shoe, smell it, and have it in front of me and feel like I'm a part of a community that is totally fictitious in reality. Like it just completely is not a real thing. But in my mind, it was the epitome of my existence, right? So how do we bring that back? And I think also that community is what drives that retention tenfold. And then I think on the other side, if you're building from the ground up, like how much are you talking to your consumers and are you there to help or are you there to hurt? It's like a friendship, right? You don't want to overwhelm your friend with a bunch of text messages, but you also want to be like, hey, how are you? Just checking in. So I think those metrics alone is like touch points, but also engagement with those touch points and then community, huge component to success, in my opinion.
So aside from the sneaker smell test, I love that test. I want to use that one. Aside from the sneaker smell test, is there been a test that completely changed how you think about social commerce?
Yeah. So, actually really funny. I don't even think it would be, I mean, yes, social commerce is a completely different beast than what it used to be, right? I think in the beginning, when you were on Instagram, for example, that platform was very much a gallery of moments. It was great for brands to show a more commercial side that's polished. But things have changed. People have access to brands now. They can send a DM, they can flood you with a review online, and then it destroys everything. I mean, this is a very in the now example, so it'll date me, but like with everything going on with a McDonald's CEO and eating a bite out of a burger, and then now everybody else is doing it. I just feel like right now we need to be able to tune in and understand that like the biggest currency is to be able to monetize off of a very authentic and genuine moment. And that's very difficult to do. So the biggest test that we did during Thanksgiving is we were doing all of these ads, right? Ads that are foundational based, and then we have hooks, like the 1, 2, 3s of creative testing and processing. But there's the cool like X factor of certain media buyers and creators that just have a hair that just goes, let me just try something weird. And I propped up a phone, was with my family. I was with my cousin. She's a sweet, angelic face. I'm like, hey, try this flavor. Tell me what you think. And she drinks it, and it's a genuine reaction video. And you just hear everyone all over the place hustling and bustling. You even hear like the clicker on the stove. And like I grab it and she's drinking it and we're just talking, and then it cuts out. And that was one of the best producing ads we've ever had. And it was absolute insanity. And why? Because of the authenticity. And I think that is the unlock that a lot of people aren't going to be able to really nail, but they have to have iterations to be able to do that. And I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, it's tough to create rehearsed spontaneity, but it is one of those things that will hook people into buying more product and subscribing, of course. What's something in subscription or social commerce that feels small today that will be big or huge in the next couple of years, in your opinion?
Live selling. I mean, Gary Vee is all over the place preaching this on every mountaintop about live selling and how it's going to become the biggest thing. And I've had this feeling for some time. So back when I would get decks from Meta would always send us these decks and say, this is what's coming for the year. And live selling was the biggest one. So for those who don't know what live selling is, think QVC, but on these social platforms. And we see this with TikTok so much, right? There's streamers, there's people who are selling, but I know the back end, and we have the fortunate, ability to know how many advertisers are taking this as serious as they are. And like, without revealing too much, I know people are creating some serious infrastructure behind this because they know it's going to boom in the next X amount of years. I think that's just untouched. What often will happen is a brand will do it 1 to 2 times. They don't get the return they're expecting. They don't get the amount of volume. that they're expecting in terms of viewership. And they're like, okay, we're done. This is not the QVC for us.
Mm.
But if you look at Skims, for example, I think Skims is an incredible example. And even like if you're on different platforms, they're opening the ability to subscribe as well, by the way, which is even cooler. And whether it's to site or in platform, whichever the case may be. But Skims created an entire event around their live selling during the holidays that was so well produced. It took what online or live selling was to another level. I think that's the next thing. It's going to be huge very, very soon.
Nice. It's like what's old is new again. I can remember Home Shopping Network when it first came out, and it was like all the rage, and people were tuning into that specific channel. And now it feels like that vibe is heading over to social media and social
Oh,
commerce
yeah.
as well.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Easily.
what mistakes do you see subscriptions brands making in 2026 that they should have probably figured out by now? It's not the way to go.
Yeah, just because you can acquire a customer doesn't mean you can keep a customer. I think that's just, there's this assumption that LTV is going to carry you through. But then if you put all of the majority of your time into acquisition, you forget about the tail end, and that LTV is continuing
Mm.
diminishing. We look at LTV in 3 months. We don't look at LTV in 6 months, 9 months, 12 months. We do look at it, but we don't really consider it. 9 out of 10 times when I get on a call with a team, they're like, look at the 3 months LTV. And I'm like, yeah, but look here, you drop off here. How can you keep them for one more month? How can you keep them and engage with them? And I think also too, like the acquisition side is fantastic, you're building, but if you're churning, that's however many more customers now telling people about why they didn't buy again rather than why they stayed with you. And again, like what are you bringing to the table in subscription that is worth it? In a world where everything is subscription, I mean, Doug, go into your phone and look at how many things you're subscribed to. Like what? Netflix, Hulu, Prime. These are just streaming services. Now you've
Mhm.
got Spotify, Apple Music, whatever that might be. Then you've got your iCloud. Then you've got maybe a Dropbox, your Google Drive. Those are the essentials. Then you may have, I'm gonna like go through them all. And then you've got like Baby Boo, H&M, all of these like products, they have their own apps, and then they're like, but we also want you to subscribe within our app to this one service. So now everything stacks up. Why would I, when my accountant looks at me, say, yes, I want to continue to subscribe to Doug instead of Patsy, right? And it's because Doug kept saying, hey, I got your back. Hey, thank you for being with us. I have something for you. Hey, is this actually benefiting your life?
Mm.
And if it is, great. If it's not, how can we make sure it is? So I think that's the biggest unlock. And things
Well, the important thing is to try to get that important spot of real estate on my phone on that page one, because I must have 6 or 7 pages of different things that I'm either subscribed to or an app on my phone, and many of them are paid services that I offer. But let's advance it to page one of that. So let's talk about which brands are using creators or community to drive subscriptions really well right now. In your opinion, who's doing that the right way?
This is a really tough question for me because there's like the bigger ones, right? You've got like the AG ones that kill it, and like that's great. But this is very tough for me because I feel like no one has really nailed it in the way that I feel has been perfect. I think Instant Hydration has done a fantastic job. They've been able to partner. I know that the team is fantastic at what they do. They've been able to partner with some awesome influencers and creators. And then also the partnerships they have with the collaborations are perfectly niched for what they're doing. Like, they've got Sean Johnson, who is an Olympic athlete, but then they've also got, Max Holloway, who's a fighter that hits a different demographic. That's great. And then they also have partners aside from that on the influencer side. I love that. I think that it's extremely, extremely strong. But it's hard for me because I'm yet to see someone break down the door and go, this is how we need to do it.
Mm.
So I'm to be decided.
No,
Is it kind of
that's
like
okay. That's a good answer. And you know what? If you're listening to this podcast, I think that you may be able to have a conversation with Phoenix at SubSummit, and maybe by the time May comes around, you'll have a different perspective on it. There's a potential. I mean, things are happening so quickly with technology nowadays. It makes engagement so much easier. Community growth, a more effective or a very effective tool for brands.
right? I mean, remember, my background came from well, actually, I didn't even say this, but community management in terms of influencers. So I came on to the DFM, which was an agency back in the day that did like Impossible Foods, that Nike Lunar Charge launch, a lot of really great things. But we would get influencers at the time when just influencers were booming, and we'd have those contracts and make sure that that collaboration made sense. And then we're like, how do we take this to the next level? I'm waiting for a team that is so gritty, that has only a little bit of budget and like has everything to lose and is Hail Marrying it. I love that stuff because that's what brings everything to the rise, right? How can we do that on a subscription level and really rethink and like reinvent the wheel a little bit? I'm waiting for that spark. I think right now, the majority of the subscription businesses are kind of doing the same things with some little minor tweaks in here. I'm ready to just like throw it up and just change everything, whatever that looks like.
So this coming May at SubSummit, you're doing a session along with Adam Pivko called Building and Deploying High Volume, High Value Creative Engines. So I'm hoping that maybe you could share it briefly here, just so people get enough of a tease to want to come to the session, but not too much so that they say, I already know what that's going to be all about. When someone walks out of your session at SubSummit, what's maybe one idea, maybe a mindset you want them to maybe start thinking about a little differently after coming to your session?
Yeah, I'm just going to be real with you. Like, that's kind of my style. Would you actually buy from this ad? And 90% of you are going to say, yeah, of course I will, but I'm going to call BS on it. No, you wouldn't. Because if you're sitting on a toilet scrolling, are you actually going to go, wait a minute, this is so important, I need to buy right now? And it's just like the candid conversation. But it also comes back down to the conversation I always get is, we need volume. This is what needs to happen, volume. But volume without quality is just noise. You can make 100, 200, 500 iterations of an ad that isn't converting and then tell me you have volume. So I'm going to really talk and speak to how to get that volume with quality, with different structures in place that have been extremely successful, at least in my career, and things that I've been able to just to test over time. And the ones that are doing it right, the brands that are really killing it, are the ones that are nailing iterations, are nailing that process. They're not just asking AI to fulfill XYZ like a checklist. And that is something to address as well. Like, when is AI appropriate? When is AI not appropriate? So I'm expecting to speak to all those things.
I love, I see podcast host in your future. You've got a couple of different visuals that have really hit the mark well for me. One is the sneaker smell test, and the other is the sitting on the toilet test.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Those are really good. So just finally, so we can get close to wrapping this up, what kind of operators should make sure that they're in the room when you're speaking at SubSummit this coming May?
I think those that want to be challenged, iron sharpens iron. It's hard to be in a vicinity with so many people who are as passionate about this niche thing that we do than here at SubSummit. So I think it's important to be able to ask the questions. If you meet someone that you're looking up to, or a brand that you're like, whoa, I really admired what you did here, ask the questions. But then also just like be willing to learn, because you've got some of the best brains in one area. I always love the networking components of these types of events, because you sit there and you understand how this person thinks rather than what they did. I mean, it's important to know what they did, because that'll really change how you think. So you've got some high level operators here. And if you're really looking to change things up, or just minor tweaks, or just learn from those who have done what you've done, come. Like, I think this is a great event for that.
Phoenix, I so appreciate you sharing your expertise and your eclectic background with us, and your personality is amazing. Thank you for being here. We're excited to be able to see you in May in Kansas City.
It's been an honor. Thank you for having me. And yeah, I'm excited to see you guys.
For those in the SubSummit community, Phoenix is just one of the voices shaping the future of subscription. Come meet Phoenix in person at SubSummit in Kansas City this coming May. Thanks for checking us out. See you again next episode.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to the SubSummit podcast. If you want to be in the room with the operators building the next era of subscription and commerce, head to subsummit.com and grab your pass now. Make sure to follow the SubSummit podcast so you don't miss upcoming interviews with the founders, brands, and partners shaping the industry. We'll see you at the crossroads.